It was pretty amazing, though.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Smiling Homeschooler podcast. We're glad you can join us. It feels like it's been months since we've been able to actually have a live episode due to so many technical internet issues. So we're praying it doesn't drop this week, but I guess we'll find out. But before we begin, we just want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for helping make the Smiling Homeschooler possible. They are an amazing math curriculum and one of the best out there, and we really appreciate their support for everything we do. Dad, if you're ready to go ahead and get started, let's go.
Yes, well, it's good to be with you again. It has been a while, and maybe I should start with Ben asking him some questions because I know homeschooling at our house is kind of taken on a new look as we've kind of our last two, our yet two youngest, Caleb and Jed. They're both kind of doing pretty much everything on their own. They do it Jed's doing it in the morning and Cal's doing it sometimes in the afternoon or sometimes in the evening, and he really likes it that way. But Ben, you're kind of in the throes of things now. How's homeschooling going in your house?
Marissa's been plugging away. It's been going well from what she said. I mean, obviously there are hard days, and especially, I know she's been dealing with Renly and some argumentativeness slash just, about every little thing. But, day to day, it looks, she's pretty consistent. Usually it's when Anders is down for a nap because he's just super nonstop. So it's hard to get anything done if he's, alive at the moment. So they I know the other day she wasn't feeling well, but she wanted to do something. So she's like, what's something? Oh, it was on when the election was about to happen. She's like, what's a video they could watch on that? And we were just talking about stuff, and I was like, I think Schoolhouse Rock used to have one that talked about that or something. So she pulled those up and wasn't super impressed by them. Apparently didn't grow up with them like I did, and you did, but so it's been going well.
Country too.
Yeah. It's fun seeing like the differences of what the kids, pick up and learn differently, and what they their strengths and weaknesses are. So it seems like it's been going pretty smoothly, other than just the odd day that's hard here and there. So
yeah, well, it's been fun having because they live right next door to us. This is the busy time in the Smiling Homeschooler Family Man warehouse, which is a barn in our backyard. But we're making Christmas games and calendars. And today, Renly and Hudson were over helping Uncle Jed and Uncle Cal do the make some calendars and make some games. And again, don't be surprised if you buy our product and some of the pieces are missing. We'll take care of you. But when they're assembled by a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old who is Hudson 5 or 6?
he's 5.
He's 5. Sometimes our quality control is a little lacking, and and Hudson seems to lose interest really quick. But it's been super fun as we're getting ready for that. So again, if you want some great Christmas activities, you need to, and we should talk about it maybe next time because it'll be kind of our pre Christmas rush. But if you want some great activities, you'll want to get our To Bethlehem board game, and a great gift. Fun. Maybe the goat of all men's Christmas gifts is the You Dad Daily Calendar. I mean, we ship them out in large quantities that dads have gotten for themselves, which is always a good sign. And I get notes from moms that say, "Oh, I got this. I get this every year." So you can get
everyone
that.
Needs a gift like that, I mean, it's just perfect.
I know it. I know it.
Yeah. But you should. You should get on it because it's coming fast. I mean, we decorated actually.
Ready for it.
We ended up decorating this last weekend, which, I used to be as strict, not until after Thanksgiving, but it just goes so fast after Thanksgiving, especially this year, as we've talked about in the past. So I was beaten down. We haven't done the Christmas tree yet. I think we're planning on doing that this weekend, but it's fun. And we started the Grinch, the newest animated one tonight. Which again, I never used to watch anything before, but it's just not worth it sometimes.
Well,
so.
the little town south of us, they did their tree lighting ceremony last weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to start doing it like the same weekend as Halloween
Yeah,
one of
seriously.
these days.
I mean, it was
So,
like 64 degrees out there today, so it does not feel like
I
it's ready,
know.
but we're supposed to get snow in just a couple
It's
days,
great.
so I guess we'll find out.
Wow.
But
I'm not ready for that either. Well, Ben, you had an idea for tonight's podcast. Well, you want to explain it?
yeah, I was just thinking, mom's talked about this a little bit in the past, but what are the differences? What's the minimum to have a good day of homeschooling? Because I'm sure everyone has a picture of what a perfect day might look like. But what do you actually need to have a good day of homeschooling? And then what's going to guarantee a bad day in homeschooling? So I thought maybe we could do one before and one after, or maybe we can just do them kind of back and forth between the two.
Well, I
But
made just a quick list,
yeah,
that mine were like no one died. That's a
okay.
good day. You didn't have to call dad. That's a good day. No one threw up. That's a good day. And everyone found their math book. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, that's like
That's true. That's true. I guess that's about the most
well,
you can ask
I'm
for.
gonna guess. I'm gonna guess because I think people do use that terminology um often. Especially moms because they're looking because they want good days. They want those good days and they're looking for formulas and so like when you're talking to Rissa, what makes a good day for her or what's a bad day for her?
Yeah, I mean, I think I asked her specifically to give me her list, but I didn't give her enough warning. So, but just from talking to her and stuff, I think a good day is a day um, where she sees the spark of learning, of interest, or a kid gets something, or they were happy about something that they were able to do. I think she always feels super just rewarded and encouraged after that. And any time that she can say, "Oh, Hudson was able to do 7 + 8 in his mind or whatever, and he just did it so fast, and he just gets it," that's I just think instantly helps make the day just feel so rewarding. And I'm sure we had, mom might have had those where there was a breakthrough. Do you ever remember like a specific conversation where she's like, such and such kid finally got reading, or anything like that?
Actually, it was the one that I remember was you,
Hmm.
because
Probably because
you
it
were
was just a
so
couple
good
years
at so
ago.
many things, and
Finally figured it out.
probably such a puzzle.
Yeah.
Um, but I can remember her thinking, he's not gonna get this because you like got all the sounds, you got all the letters, you that made sense, but it was just it was so painful making that transition into reading. And I can remember almost where I was when she goes, I think he's got it, and it just like all of a sudden it clicked. And really, almost every mom of a homeschooler will say that. Even though there are some kids, who it seems like they get everything easily and it just comes quickly. The academics, I mean, I would assume Renly's kind of that way. I know Catherine, those things came quickly and easily. Um, and, but I feel like every mom kind of will talk about, man, I didn't think they'd ever get it. And all of a sudden they got it.
Yeah.
And it
I
was a game
mean,
changer.
that is a huge deal. I mean, that's what, I mean, obviously you hope to be able to see the results, and you will see the results,
Mhm.
but in the thick of it, it can be really, feel really impossibly far away sometimes. I think another one is just, if they have a opportunity to do something just a little bit different, if she, had some new idea that they tried, or they had just something funny happen or something fun that they did together. I think those are always highlight days, and they always talk about them after the fact. And I think that's always a fun way to just
Mhm.
break up the mundane. And we've talked about that before, just ideas. We have our spinner you can do, things like that. But I think that can really
Mhm.
lead to a good day of homeschooling is if it just is not the same every day. If it's a unique day, often that can lead to, I think, a good day. And I mean, I feel that even just in normal life, is if there's something you're like, you know, Sometimes if
Mm-hmm.
in the evening you choose to go eat some random restaurant you've never been to, it may not even be that great, but it's like just changing it up can really make a huge difference in just making it feel fun and memorable as a family. And I think everyone can feel that.
I think along those lines, because and maybe food is a easy door to walk through. But I know like, especially around this time of year, where it feels like there's fun in the air, whether it's Thanksgiving or the change of seasons and I know that mom would always do with you guys, one of her traditions that she liked during Christmas was to take you guys to go get donuts in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always such a fun day to her. And you probably enjoyed it too, but I think it was fun for her because it was just a break. It felt like she was doing something memorable. Because a lot of times you don't feel like you're doing anything memorable. In fact, when you were talking about, the bad days, I can just remember, I mean, not on, how like people say, I can count on a handful of days. I can count on a stadium full of hands full of days how many times I would say to your mom, how'd school go today? And she would just look at me and go, pointless. It's just pointless. And she would always use that word. It was pointless. And to her, that was a bad day. And I would have to talk her out of it, talk her off the ledge because she saw it as, you know, we just battled. They didn't learn anything. What's the point? I felt like the books we read are just boring. We just go through the motions. And she saw those as bad days. I didn't see them that way. I would say to her, and I can remember her saying, our kids didn't learn anything today. And I'd say, honey, they learned tons today, how to function as a family. But I know from her perspective, it feels like you don't learn very much. And I'll just say, side note, I was asked a question this past week. Someone said we were talking about Thanksgiving and how or no, we were just talking about the Christian life and how, how do you get better at it? And again, I don't like simple answers, but I said, I think it's like growth. You know, you just it feels the same every day, but once you're a few years as you grow a few years in maturity, you look back and you go, wow, I've come a long way. And in a few more years, you'll look back again and say, wow, I've come a long. And I think that's the same thing with homeschooling. You think you don't cover anything, but all of a sudden your kids are reading, and then they know things. And then, uh, then they are real smart. In fact, I told Ben this would be a good show topic, and I'm not going to give you the point of it yet, but I was reading some negative things about some homeschool graduates, and they were saying such harsh things. And this was not, they're not recent graduates. They're like in the 1990s, early 2000s. But they all said, they didn't, some of them said that we didn't feel prepared, like our parents did a very good job. But I'm like, these people are so articulate and they've started these ministries and started these angry mobs, but they're obviously smart kids. And I'm like, how can you be so stupid that you do not see the perspective of where you've come from? And that who those people who you're being so negative against, they taught you it. And I wanted to say, how dare you even
Fortunately,
say
a foolish person will probably be foolish whether they're homeschooled or not.
that? I know,
It's just,
I know, I
but
know. But
yeah,
it just makes me mad. So that saying, you're just learning. They're learning
yeah.
all the time.
No, I was thinking it's tough. Homeschooling moms, you're in the trenches, you're up close, you're dealing with it every day. And it's kind of like, I was trying to think of an analogy, but like, if you're, building a road or building a building or whatever it may be, and it's just like every little brick feels pointless and endless and it's never going to get there. But it's like you zoom out and then the fruit of all of that labor is apparent to others, will be to you someday, and your kids will be able to see so much from that. But it is really tough in the day to day to actually be able to see the results that you're working on. But you're doing an amazing job. But it's tough. I mean, that's going to be tough. But I think it's good to know that's part of it, unfortunately. But I think, the other big thing is, if this is probably wishful thinking more than an actual good day, but if there could be no attitude, that will be an amazing day. But that's not going to happen very often. It's just some of those things that you're like, well, it'd be a really good day if my kids just listen all the time. It's like, I agree, but it's probably not going to happen very often, So unless you're like, hey, eat candy all day, then they'll probably listen. But otherwise, and even then, they'll probably argue about something. So it's just tough. But those things can feel like, I guess, don't let the ideal get in the way of just other little good things that can happen, if that makes sense.
I agree. My computer is like talking to me, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can turn it off.
I think a bad thing, though, I was thinking about this because the other day, when Marissa was not feeling well, I think a bad day and a way to guarantee it is if you aren't feeling well, if a kid's not feeling well, if something other big life situation is just, really causing a lot of issues, pushing through and doing it no matter what without any changing or anything, adapting to that, I think will probably just about guarantee you're going to have a bad day. You're not going to have the, the grace or I'm blanking on the word. I don't know. You're not going to be long suffering. You're not going to have patience. It's just going to be tough. So I know for us, when I was growing up, and then also now with ours, if Rissa or Mom were not in a good place, it's probably, there's a limit of how good that day is going to be. So, yeah.
Oh, I agree. Oh, and sometimes even when you're tired, I know that Mom will say, "Man, I just haven't got a good night's sleep," because she'll go to bed late and get up early, and I'm like, and she can't seem to control the getting up early because her mind just, as soon as she stirs, or as soon as I have to go to the bathroom, once she wakes up, her mind just goes into full gear. And so, like, I try to lay there in pain until I can't stand it anymore. And then, I hear, "Thanks for waking me up." But she can control the going to bed earlier, and I know sometimes she'll say, "Well, I just, I want to watch the Hallmark with Maggie or whatever." But I'll tell you, when she goes to bed earlier, like at 10:15 instead of 11, she feels so much better the next day. I mean, everything seems brighter, and I feel that way. Sometimes when I'm tired, everything is overwhelming to me,
100%.
it just causes you to lose perspective. I think when you're tired, that's, when Jesus was tired, I think that's when Satan came and tempted him. That's when Satan came, and attacked. And I think that's because we're vulnerable at those periods of time. So I think a mom owes it really
100%.
to her children and to herself to get a good night's sleep, and that makes for a better day.
All right. Well, real quick, we just want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making the Smiling Homeschooler possible. They are an amazing math curriculum. We've used them for years, and we'd encourage you to as well. If you haven't tried them out already, they're fun. It's engaging. They have pretty much every grade, and they have family plans, and you can do it from essentially almost any device. So definitely go check them out over at teachingtextbooks.com. We really appreciate their support. But anything else? Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Yep. Any other bad day or good day that stand out? I mean, we can kind of just jump back and forth a little bit. I think that, is fine.
Well, I wasn't as prepared for that kind of, but how about you go, and then I'll see if I can ping pong back to you.
Okay. I mean, I think another, bad day is, trying to think how to word it. And we've said it before, it kind of goes off of the idea of, pushing through when you're sick. But as we've said before, if it's just not working, pushing through the curriculum, fighting it no matter what, obviously, I think that you're going to have almost every day will be a bad day. I mean, if you're dreading it going in because of what you're having to work with, like the tools you're using, then likely it's going to be really rough for a lot of it, and we've talked about it before, but it can feel, especially when you have invested a lot of money, but as we said, just if something's not seeming to work, make the change. Otherwise, it's going to lead to a lot of rough days,
Hmm.
and I've experienced that, and it's not fun. So,
Right, right.
yeah,
I think that's a good one. On the other side, I would say a good day is, and I think, I don't know if you can have false good days, but sometimes I think we mistakenly thinking that finishing the curriculum that day is a good day. We think that we got things done, we accomplished things. I know again for my wife who likes to check things off her box or check things off her list. Sometimes we measure our day by those things and we could check off all the boxes and maybe it feels like a good day, but maybe we miss what's kind of important in that. So I
yeah,
don't know if that's a good
yeah.
answer or not.
And I mean, mom, one of her, things that she said, I think it's something like if you've learned a little and you laugh a little, you've
Right.
accomplished a lot or something like that. And I do think that is really key. I mean, if you're able in a homeschooling day to just laugh a little bit with your kids in some form or smile at your kids as our whole smiling homeschooler, I think that's a good day. I mean, it doesn't mean that there weren't rough parts. It
Mm.
doesn't mean that there weren't hard times or going to be hard moments. But if you're homeschooling in a way that leaves room for you to be able to just have a little bit of those moments, I mean, that's all you can ask for, I really think. And you're going to see so much fruit from that. And your kids will see that long term. And I think that's just awesome. And there's going to be days where you just don't. It's just not going to happen. And that's okay too. Not every day is going to
Mhm.
be that. But just leave yourself space. Try not to be
Yeah,
too
yeah,
full because you won't ever have it happen then.
yeah. And Ben, if I could maybe even change the conversation a little bit,
Yeah.
if I could say this, because I think about these things a lot, because I hear moms, in search of the good days and trying to avoid the bad days. And sometimes when you have your little tally sheet and you're like saying, man, I mean, we only had one good day in the last 2 months, or one good day, it feels like in the last month, or whatever. Or I hardly even remember a good day. You start to think that you're failing at this, like this could be better. And I think, I mean, again, this is my perspective. I wonder, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, I'm wondering if they're all good days. I mean, really, is it possible? Because people talk about this in marriage. I know though people will say, "Oh, they have a good marriage," or somebody will say, "Oh, they have a bad marriage." And I used to, I can remember when I would first speaking, I would go to churches and I would speak and I'd say, "How do you can have a marriage that rocks?" Thinking that there were good marriages and bad marriages. I wonder if, because and this is my perspective now, I wonder if all marriages are good marriages. Maybe there are hard marriages and easy marriages, but maybe even in the conflict, it's still good. Because my fear is we'll get to the end of our homeschooling days and think, all it was chaos and arguing, and it didn't feel like we got anything accomplished, and we will have missed how good all those days were. Because and again, sometimes we think because conflicts means we should do something else. It'd be easier. My kids would act better if I sent them off to school. Or people will say, in marriage, we just see each other too often. Maybe it'd be better if we didn't see each other for a month and then we came back together and we'd have more fun. Yes, you would have more fun, but that doesn't make it better. The relationship, the closeness is all good. And I was thinking, Ben, and I don't know if this is as we kind of close it, um, but I think sometimes we need those perspective reminders, maybe, of where it is good. I think that's why God has us put our kids to bed at night, or I think that's why He gives us night, because there is nothing sweeter. Because sometimes when they're awake and they're fighting and, it's just constant, we can start to not even like the little guys, you know. But then there's something incredible to walk in to see your sleeping child in their bed, and they're quiet and everything's quiet. and you think, man, I do not know what I would do without you. And it's a reminder at those times to me how good it is. And then you go to bed and you wake up and it starts hard again, but I just think it's almost like a gift God gives us at the end of a day to be reminded how good we have it. And I think, we homeschoolers, we have the best. I mean, really, we have all our days homeschooling are great days that and once they're gone for good, and but I think we forget. I
Yeah.
think we forget.
No, I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, I think some of those things will help you feel like it's good in the moment versus feel like
Hmm.
it's bad. But I mean, I do agree, except maybe very few exceptions, that it is good. And I mean, that's why we
Hmm.
love homeschooling, and why we think it's such a great thing. Is it is a really good thing, and as we always use all the other analogies of different things in life, most of the things it's not just as it is going to be tough. It
Hmm.
is going to be hard, but it is weird how that you have that refreshing and that rejuvenation of, you're just mind, and you wake up and it resets you, and you're back again, and you're like, I love these kids. I'm ready to do it again. But it is tough. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Well, it's
is
like when
tough.
you go away for a weekend
Yeah,
or a day,
exactly.
a night. It's like, oh, you miss them so much, and you see them and you embrace them, and then, they move their head and it hits you in the chin, and everybody's screaming again, and you're like, why did we even come back?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think, again, we kind of lose perspective. I think that's why we need each other to remind each other of that. Tomorrow I'll do the PE for our homeschool group. And at the end of every time, I always pray with the kids and I always say, Dear God, I don't think I've ever missed saying this, but I always say, and God, we're just so thankful that we can be homeschooled. I think sometimes your kids need to hear you say that too. You know, Dear God, thank you for allowing us to homeschool. I'm so glad we get to be homeschooled. I'm glad my children get to be homeschooled. And husbands, you need to remind your wives of that too, and wives remind your husbands of that because it is a great privilege. And but I'm just going to kind of close it out there. And so I hope, that tomorrow is an easy day for you. I know it's going to be good, but I hope it's an easier day. And maybe you do a little less school, or maybe tomorrow you drop one subject that you've been, just for the day. You're going to do all the subjects except this one that always causes you guys to stumble, and just skip it and get it again the next day. Or maybe go out for donuts, or I don't know in your neck of the woods, but our McDonald's now are carrying Krispy Kreme donuts. If you got those, take advantage of that. Or buy candy canes for everybody and suck on them during class, or play a game. Get the Smiling Homeschooler spinner game and spin for smiles for the day. And I'm gonna guess, especially, and even tonight, maybe after a hard day or an easy day, take just a little bit of time, stick your head in on each of your sleeping kids and just look at them, say a little prayer, and then that is going to make you smile.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. Again, thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making the Smiling Homeschooler possible. They're an amazing math curriculum. Don't forget to check them out. Tell them that you appreciate their support of us. But all right, we'll see you next week, and don't forget to smile.